Greetings, everyone. My name is Tony Forman. Hello, everyone. Welcome one more time to the Tony Forman Show, where we make sure that the community is informed on all the things that they need to know about what's going on that may affect their lives. Today we have with us Dr. B, who is our special guest, and we're going to discuss certain issues, especially as it pertains to the new measles outbreak. And I want you to welcome him. Dr. B, thank you for being here today. We appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. B, could you please, for our listening and viewing audience, can you just tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. I never thought I'd be anything but a Texan, kind of like Christian. I grew up in South Texas and went to medical school there and then practiced in East Texas for a long time. And would probably still be there, except we have two sons, and they moved off, and one of them moved to here in Charlotte, the other one's out in Colorado. And as soon as the grandkids started coming, it's like, well, we need to kind of go there if we're going to get to know them. So we have been dividing our years for the last 15, 16 years between Charlotte and Western North Carolina, Western Colorado, to watch the grandkids grow up.
That's well, when you have kids or children, parents usually, once you retire and stuff like that, you want to be as close to them as possible. Sometimes the times doesn't provide.
Exactly. You bet. Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad that, because my mom is in New York, and you speak to her twice a day and sometimes 10 times a day.
Goodness.
Yeah, my mom is 90. She's gonna be 95, and she's sharp as a tack. It's really amazing.
Yeah, yeah, that's wonderful. That's great.
But I'm glad that you're here with us today. Someone of your stature could shed some light on some of the questions that people have, because they're saying that it's getting worse, this measles outbreak.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that it's not exponential, but there are more deaths being attached to this outbreak. And it's sad that we're going through another period of, especially children, going through a situation where, 2020 wasn't that long ago. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. You bet.
And lest we forget, we could find ourselves in another situation like that. If we have the government posting down agencies that like the science agency, I believe it was called,
mm-hmm.
The NIH and the World Health. We're being attacked from all fronts. And we have to educate the people so there won't be any misconception. So could you tell us a little bit about what you know about the measles outbreak, so we'll be clear on what is going on?
Yes, sir. Be happy to. Now, first of all, I'm a retired neurosurgeon. I'm not a specialist in infectious diseases or pediatrics, and most measles cases do affect children. But from what I've read about it, so far this seems to be reasonably well contained in West Texas and adjoining eastern New Mexico, mm-hmm. and it seems to be reasonably contained to a population, I believe it's a Mennonite community, who are otherwise perfectly healthy, but they are seemingly reluctant to get vaccinations. So it's mm-hmm. fundamentally in an unprotected, unvaccinated community, and unlike COVID, none of us were vaccinated against COVID because it was a brand new novel virus. Mm-hmm. But measles, of course, has been around for a real long time. And we've been having the vaccine since probably the early 50s with the MMR, measles, mumps, rubella, combined vaccination that almost all infants get. So the bottom line is that who knows how the original patient got into that community. But since most Americans are vaccinated and therefore immune to a measles infection, it's probably not going to spread like wildfire among the general population like COVID did. But there are probably increasingly large populations in the United States of folks who are vaccine averse, who haven't gotten their children vaccinated, and they're absolutely sitting ducks for this. It is highly contagious. People say that back before the vaccines, everybody got measles, and most of them didn't die, but about 1 in 1,000 did. So that's not a small number when you're talking about a huge population like we have here. So it's very serious. And my big concern, and I think most kind of mainstream physicians, is that now we have leadership in our health departments like RFK Jr., who's head of the Health and Human Services, who doesn't seem to think that vaccines are all that great. He's made some statements to say, yes, they do prevent disease, but it's an individual's choice as to whether you ought to have them. And I think that leads people into saying, well, if he says that's not essential and not critical, well, I'm not going to get my children vaccinated. And the next thing you know, they might come up with measles, and as we're experiencing, might die from it. It's not a guaranteed benign disorder. It reminds me of polio. Everybody thinks, polio is so dreadful because everybody ends up paralyzed. Only about 1 in, maybe the same, 1,000 or even fewer than that, had paralysis because of polio. A lot of people had polio back then and just thought they had a cold, and we didn't realize they had polio until they were checked afterward and found the antibodies that the body had formed against the polio virus. So even though most cases of measles might be mild, you never know if you're going to be the child that gets a serious case and ends up either dying or with brain changes. A lot of times there's inflammation of the brain that occurs, and it's just a serious consideration.
Yeah, I remember as a young child hearing a lot about polio, and I remember how fearful it was for a lot of parents. At 70 years old, I'm no fool. I'm vaccinated. I moved here from the Dominican Republic. And when at that time, when I came in 1965, you couldn't come across the border unless you were fully vaccinated. Mm-hmm. And I think it was about four different vaccines, the measles, polio, and stuff. And man, I'm gonna tell you, man, Doc, I was sick for a whole week and 9 years old. So, to digress to Robert Kennedy, I personally don't have anything against him, but I think that sometimes when you start giving people doubts or putting doubts in people's heads, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because he's in a position of leadership, and when somebody in his position start telling you, even just the name Kennedy, to some people he's an authority. But you don't watch what they do. Listen to what they say, because they forecast. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that he does the right thing, because you have a lot of young people that don't want to have their kids vaccinated. And then when the child passes away or something happens to him physically because of the disease, then they want to cry out and they're begging for help, but it's too late. Mm-hmm. It's too late. And when it comes to, go ahead, sir.
No, I'm just going to say that's exactly right. And you commented about not watching what people do, but what they say. But in Kennedy's case, watch what he did. He got his own children vaccinated, and then tells everybody else, "Oh, but it's a personal decision." So I would say do what he did.
It was like the current president. I remember when he caught COVID, and the vaccine was experimental at the time, and he was the first one to take it.
You bet.
They try to play it off, and with all that, he still told people to inject bleach and do all this other crazy stuff. And the thing is that when it comes to the poorest of communities, a lot of the times people don't get the right information. They believe a lot of the information that's not true. And the purpose of what you and I are doing right now, and thanks to my producer for this, it's educating those that otherwise wouldn't hear the truth. And it's important that we let people know what is really going on. And I thank you for being here for that.
Yes, sir. Happy to.
Anytime. So I'd like to move on to something else. Listen, we're going to have to take a break, as you know, we have to pay the bills. So we'll be back briefly. Please stay tuned, and we'll be right back with you. Thank you.
Hey everyone, we want to thank you for watching the Tony Forman Show, the new Tony Forman Show. You can catch us on your favorite audio podcast or video podcast platform every Wednesday at 10 in the morning Eastern Time. That's when we drop. So once again, thank you for watching the new Tony Forman Show on your Cannis Media Network. Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying the Tony Forman Show. I also want to remind you that our anchor show, Coffee and Panduste, with Jenny and I, drops every Wednesday. Right, Jen?
Yeah, it's one of the things. We got some new exciting shows coming to you this year with Cannis Media, and we want to definitely promote this. We got Tony Forman and another host, and exciting new looks at especially the Latinx Hispanic community. They're very relevant to that, just like coffee originally was. And tune in, check them out, and see what you think. Give us some feedback.
All right, so continue to enjoy the Tony Forman Show, but also jump over and watch Jenny's show on Two Queers in a Truck, and also our show, Coffee and Panduste. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
So we're back, ladies and gentlemen, my viewing audience, listening audience. Thank you for staying here with us. We're here with Dr. B, one of our prominent doctors, and he has agreed to come and be with us, if you just tuned in, to discuss some of the issues that affect the most needy communities, especially as it affect they're affected by the measles outbreak. And we're Charlotte Mecklenburg, and I wanted to find out from the doc how do you think that what's going on in Texas, which is not too far from North Carolina, it will affect, because people travel, and when you travel, you carry things across that you oftentimes don't realize you do. So is there anything that we should be concerned about when it comes to not just North Carolina, just the surrounding states?
I think absolutely the most important thing is your vaccination status. And so I would think that particularly people with young children, or children of any age, if they have any question, they need to check or determine with the health provider somehow if they've been vaccinated, and if not, get vaccinated as soon as possible. That's the key to protection about this. Unfortunately, just as happened with the COVID outfit, we have people in authority, like you just cited President Trump back then, and now RFK Jr. has said some things about, you just need to have a good diet and be in good physical shape and take vitamin A. And it turns out that arose because it seems that for children who are really sick with measles, doses of vitamin A do seem to kind of help them fight it and recover. It's not an antibiotic or an antiviral, but it just seems to kind of help. Probably very much like that. I'm blocking on the name of it, but that medicine that helps people get over COVID, even though it doesn't cure the COVID. There's
the one the president was advertising.
Oh, not that one. No, there's a legitimate medicine that really does help. I'm just blocking on the name with COVID, but with this measles outbreak, we're hearing things like, take cod liver oil because that has vitamin A in it. Well, that's not going to keep you from getting any of these infections. And what concerns me is when they talk about, you need to have a good diet and be good and healthy. Well, I've heard that these Mennonite populations in West Texas, they grow their own food and vegetables and they work out in the fields, and they're some of the healthiest and best fed, best nourished people in the country. They're the ones who are getting this. So it doesn't have to do with your nutrition and your overall health. It has to do with your immune status and being immunized against it. And my concern is that this is consistent with so many things we hear from the conservatives, that it's personal responsibility. And if you get measles, it's because you didn't do something right with your diet or something, rather than you didn't get vaccinated. So those kind of things concern me. I've heard some talk that they say, there's some antibiotic or some steroid medicine that might help with the measles. There's no evidence for that whatsoever. Exactly the same antibiotic, which is a rather unusual one that's not in common usage. I'd never heard of it before until this came up with COVID. But some people are saying, this same antibiotic will help. Well, both COVID and measles are viruses, and antibiotics don't help viruses. They help bacterial infections, which are, apples and oranges. So you hear these things, and I just don't think there's any scientific evidence to support them. It's just kind of popular myth. So I think the thing to do, like I say, because most Americans already are immune, they were vaccinated, except for these small pockets here and there of cultures that really kind of don't believe in vaccines. I doubt that this is going to spread like wildfire like COVID did. And so other than making sure that you and your children have been vaccinated, I don't think there's anything specific to do. Wearing a mask, I don't think would help, things like that. Vaccination is the key to measles prevention.
Yeah, I believe the medication that you were speaking about for COVID is Paxlovid or something like that.
Thank you. Paxlovid is the name of it. Yes, sir. That's exactly right. Which is not an antibiotic. I don't know how you would classify it, but it just helps people recover quicker from a COVID infection. And it may with measles. Right now, we don't have enough people to do that kind of research on. There are only, a few hundred and one or two that have died. So it's not this wildfire kind of problem like the COVID was. But the message is the same. Vaccination is the key.
Now, this not to sound derogatory, but any intelligent person will be able to discern that you can't mix apples and oranges. COVID is COVID, measles are measles. The vaccination that you're going to receive for COVID is not the same one that you're going to receive for the measles.
Right.
So you can't mix it like that. But I wanted to move on to another subject because I believe it's something that some people may be concerned about. People like us who are seniors, who are older, when it comes to the measles, if you weren't vaccinated when you were younger, should you be worried about being vaccinated and not being vaccinated now? Or do you become immune over time?
Yeah, you don't just automatically become immune over time. Now, if you weren't vaccinated as a young person and maybe you had one of these mild cases, well, you might have natural immunity that might still protect you. But I would certainly try to check and see. That you asked a very good question. I don't know the answer. Should adults get vaccinated against measles if they can pretty well determine that they haven't been before. That's something you could ask probably a pharmacist at any drugstore would probably know the answer to that, and certainly almost any physician should know the answer. I should know the answer, but nobody's ever asked me that before, and I didn't think about it. So that's an easy thing to get. I bet you could Google that and determine that in a matter of moments. But I think that's
a little different. I do a lot of critical thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's an alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, blah, blah, blah. It's not O, H, M, N, you know what I'm saying? There's certain things that just are the way they are.
Yes, sir.
You can't change that because I could almost say it's natural selection.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to, when you know, and you know there's people that don't know, you need to educate. You need to do your part. I myself, I've been, I have a problem with what's going on with this administration. And it's just the way that they're going about things. A lot of people are unemployed. They're talking about a recession. But it's worrisome when you are attacking agencies that have to do with our health, i.e., Medicaid, Medicare. How do you suppose people that live in the mountains, that are poor than dirt, how do you suppose that they're going to be able to be protected against diseases and stuff like that, and viruses like COVID and the measles, when the proper tool to address those needs are not instituted where they're at? And when you're taking them away, I mean, that's some scary stuff, man.
I agree.
That's some scary stuff. I mean, to know that it was there before and now all of a sudden it's not there. Where do you go? You know, I'd be remiss if I don't mention Bernie Sanders.
Hey everyone, we want to thank you for watching the new Tony Forman Show on your favorite audio or video podcast platform. Every Wednesday at 10 in the morning Eastern Time it will drop. So once again, thank everyone for watching the new Tony Forman Show, brought to you on your Cannis Media Network.
Hey everyone, we really hope that you're enjoying the Tony Forman Show, which is one of our additional shows for the 2025 upcoming season. It's part of our bigger family of shows that you've listened to over the years in the Cannis Media system. But most of all, hope you can check out Two Careers in a Truck. It's one of our longest running shows, and he is 6 seasons long. And we would love for you to come over, and we talk about real world stuff, a lot of LGBT stuff, obviously it's Two Careers in a Truck, and a lot of other things going on in pop culture. And we try to make most episodes funny. So we'll come over there and see if we actually are doing what we said we were going to do, which is being late-breaking and timely. So again, enjoy 2025, and we appreciate you listening to the Tony Forman Show.
Yeah, so we're back. We were discussing how a person that's a person of age that wasn't vaccinated, how worried should they be about catching, an attack of the measles? And I was informed that if you are not vaccinated after 1957, then you should get vaccinated because you're not protected. You don't have immunity. And that's just a word to the wise. I know at my age, I do not want to catch any measles. God forbid. At my age, I'll have some problems. But I like to come back to the doctor and see if the doctor has any recommendations for North Carolina in terms of being more proactive and getting vaccinated. Doc?
Hard to say any specific. We're even amongst the wonderful people in North Carolina, I'm sure there's some folks who are vaccine averse, who for whatever reason kind of don't believe in them. I think we should just try to have calm conversations. Don't call them stupid or ignorant and things like that, because that's just going to increase the divide, and you're not going to have conversations with them. But try to understand why they're concerned, and maybe kind of point out that you've got friends or doctors or whatever that understand the importance of it, and say that these fears of these terrible side effects like autism, there's no scientific evidence for those kind of concerns, and it's just the safest way to deal with these illnesses, rather than catching them and taking a chance that you're going to be lucky and not have a serious case of them. It's kind of like driving without a seatbelt. Most people can go anywhere they want without a seatbelt, but it's an easy thing to do, and if you're going to be in that wreck, it might save your life. So that might be a comparison.
Well, no, that's a good comparison. I always believe in being cautious in all things, but specifically when it comes to your health.
Sure.
You know as well as I do that there's a lot of seniors that don't even go to the doctor. Mm-hmm. My dad played baseball for the Dodgers AAA, and they were about to move him up, and he hurt his arm, and that just took him out. Well, the area in the Dominican Republic that he comes from, when it comes to health, they're very poor, and so they're not used to going to doctors and stuff like that. And he went to the Dominican Republic with my mom. They were there for 3 months. They were supposed to be on their way back. And the plane was leaving at 7 in the morning. And 11 o'clock, he got a headache. And they took him to the hospital. They sent him back home, because in the Dominican Republic, if you don't have cash, they'll leave you in the hallway until you find the cash. In a lot of countries, that's the way it is. It's just that's just the way it is.
Sure.
And we were telling him over and over again, you got to go to the doctor and change. He was on Lodipine, and it was the same dose for got to be close to 20 years. So his body must have been immune to it, because it wasn't doing much for him. And then he went to the Dominican Republic, was with his brothers, doing what they did when they were younger, eating a lot of pork and food saturated with salt and stuff like that. He had to go back to the hospital. They asked for $1,500. My mom and him had a bunch of credit cards, but they wanted cash, and the cash wasn't going to come till the morning. Well, lo and behold, he had an aneurysm, and he never left the hospital. He was supposed to leave at 7 in the morning. And the point that I'm trying to make is that we have to go to the doctor. When you reach a certain age, you just got to do it. And I emphasize that. I'm a diabetic, and every 3 months I see my doctor, and in between the doctor has some concerns. And I tell people, Doc, I'm going to live to be 150. It's something to shoot for. People who are living, the administration said that you have people on Social Security that are 300 years old.
Haven't seen any of them yet, but hey.
And neither have I.
Yeah.
But the point that I'm trying to stress is that it's best to be cautious. There's no need to fear the doctor. There's no fear to need. Now, one thing that I do, so does my wife, if a medication is prescribed to us, we look it up. We just don't go on the doctor giving us something without us knowing exactly what it's for. But more importantly, because you see, they tell you to take these medications and you see it on television, and then in the fine print, you see the side effects. And they don't tell you about that. You know, the doctor doesn't tell you about the side effects. About the drugs. And I believe some of them get kickbacks for prescribing specific drugs. I truly believe that, because you see all the people that sell from the pharmaceutical companies, you go to the doctor and they're all in there with all type of samples. And I've been given samples, you know, and I look it up. But I'm really thankful that you're here with us, and you explained a lot of the things that we should be concerned about and things that we shouldn't be concerned about. And we appreciate you for that. I want to thank you for coming here. And anytime that something come up, we'll call you. You're on our road.
That'd be great. Very good. Look forward to it. Nice to meet you.
Hello, everybody. Tony Forman here with the Tony Forman Show. I just wanted to thank you, or thank all my viewers, the followers, and just remember to give a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. We want to hear from you. I want to thank Dr. B for him being here today, taking time out of his busy schedule. We really appreciate him, and we'll be bringing more people like Dr. B on the show, and look forward for our next show next week. Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate you. God bless. Have a good day. Hey, everybody. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. Thank you for being a part of my world, and we'll see you next week for the show.